So I think Friday in the Penn State-Iowa duel, Mitchell Mesenbrink is going to have the biggest challenge he's had so far in his collegiate career. And that's going to be when he takes on Michael Caliendo of Iowa. Now, you could go back and you could say, well, wouldn't you say that was probably Cam Amin? And you could make that argument, right? Cam Amin was 4th last year at NCAAs. Michael Caliendo was 7th. But to me, the context around that match really matters. So on the one hand, with Mitchell, he did something no one else has ever done to Cam Amin in his collegiate wrestling career. He won by bonus points. He beat him 11-1. And additional context, he almost DQ'd Cam out of that match. He got hit for stalling so many times. He was that dominant. He was all over him. So on the one hand, you say that was impressive. You tip your cap to Mitchell because it was a great performance. On the other, you look at the context around that performance with Cam Amin. After that loss, he had lost 3 of his last 4 matches. That's something you haven't really seen with Cam much in the past, right? He had missed a huge chunk of time not long before that match. He missed over a month of competition from CKLV, which ended like December 1st or 2nd. He didn't wrestle again until January 12th, or around that time. So he missed a lot of time. And I think as you watch that match, you say, 1, Mitchell looks really good. 2, Cam doesn't look quite right either. So that brings me to Caliendo, who we have now, and oh, by the way, before I get to Caliendo, don't forget that Cam has missed some time since then. So since that match, he wrestled one more match afterwards, and then he's missed a chunk of time after. So is there a health concern there? Is there something going on? Because we've seen a lot of Bowman at 165 for Michigan, not a lot of Cam Amin, and in duels where they've needed him. Right? So I think if he could have gone, he would have gone. And I think that's maybe that's what happened in the Penn State duel. I don't know. That's pure speculation. So that brings me to Caliendo now, once again. And this guy has been nails all year long. He's got 1 loss, and it's to national champion David Carr. And it was a dominant win for David, don't get me wrong. He was all over him. But apart from that match, Caliendo has looked really, really good. And what makes this matchup interesting to me is Caliendo has some really pretty special athleticism in himself that I think matches up pretty well stylistically against Mitchell Mesenbrink. And Mitchell, who has been excellent start to finish, he is undefeated, 15-0, one of the more dominant wrestlers in the country. Cam's the only All-American he's faced this year. He had a back-and-forth battle with Caleb Fish where he ended up winning by major, but he was down early and had to storm back. So Mitchell's nature of mixing it up and just being so fearless, at a certain point, that can catch up with you, right? So you look at that matchup, and is Caliendo the kind of guy that could capitalize on that? I think he's a guy that can, and here's another thing we haven't seen with Mitchell. We haven't seen his leg defense really challenge. Guys have not been able to get in there. I think that Caliendo is going to be able to get in. I think he's going to have the speed to penetrate and get in. And then we're going to see Mitchell's leg defense tested, right? And that's something that, listen, that's why your head's your first line of defense. If they can't get past that, it doesn't matter what your leg defense is, right? And so far, Mitchell has really done a great job of keeping a lot of guys, especially the better guys like Cam, I don't think ever got to a leg against him. So he's done a great job there. But what happens when it's Caliendo and he gets in? That to me is the match. If Caliendo gets in, I think my prediction, he does get in. The question is, can he finish? And it's still a test for Mitchell to pass at this point in time. Now, we also saw last week against Ohio State, Bryce Hepner was able to ride Mitchell for a period of time. There were some reversals and things like that said, okay, maybe Mitchell is a little vulnerable from the bottom position. And there's nothing but nits to pick right now with Mitchell Mesenbrink. I mean, the guys, the matches I'm citing, he won by bonus points. He bonused Caleb Fish. I'm pretty sure he bonused Hepner. If not, it was like a 10-4 type of win. So he's been really, really good. But Caliendo's a step up, and I think it'll be his biggest test. I think my prediction is this is his closest match. So I think a lot of people I've heard some people that are saying this is Caliendo's opportunity, but I think conventional thought right now in wrestling is that this is Mitchell all day. And as great as he is, and I think he's someone that can place really highly this year, I don't think that means he's safe in this match. I think it's going to be a really good matchup for him. And I think for Mitchell, there's only a few tough matchups between him and an undefeated record going into NCAAs. It's Caliendo, and it's Wisconsin's Dean Hamady. And really, other than those two guys, we've already seen he can beat Cam. He already beat Caleb Fish. So as you look around the Big Ten and Penn State's remaining schedule, this is one of the two big tests that stands before Mitchell Mesenbrink. And I'm excited to see how he looks in this one. I think for Caliendo and for Iowa, let's be honest, there's only a few matchups where it's reasonable that you win. And this is one of them. And for Iowa to salvage a good result here and a competitive showing against Penn State, especially coming off a really tough outing against Michigan, I think this is one they've got to circle, highlight, and really focus on, put some time into, and think about, hey, how can we crack this nut that is Mitchell Mesenbrink? It's a tough one to crack, but I think this is the most anticipated match for me coming into the Penn State-Iowa duel, which is the most anticipated duel of the year every single year. So 165, don't write it off for Mitchell Mesenbrink just yet.